Hello and welcome back to the Star City Games Columbus 20K. I'm one of your host, Mason Clark, joined by my co-host here, Andrew Allen Brogan, the Pro Tour champion. And we are got the official part of the top 8. So we got the top 12 done with. We watched, Dave Shields battle Cody, taking an L there, 2 4-color. But now we're into the top 8, and we're sparing you Twitch chat from any more 4-color for at least the time being.
Yeah, so we're gonna be, I think, looking at some other matchups
Oh my God, these are
don't go
good.
hideously long or involve a ton of maths.
Yep, we have Travis Brown on your left with Mono White Hammer. Travis went 10-1 and has picked up 2 more draws in the last round to walk in the top 4 here. Didn't even have to play before. Michael Seminati is his opponent on Rakdos Scam. Snuck in at 12th place, won his first match of the top 12, and is now battling it out here on the draw.
Yeah, so the matchup between Hammer and Scam has historically been considered to be Hammer favored. It has been my experience that with the kind of upgrades to Scam in the form of Bowmaster, that gap has somewhat narrowed,
I hate when my opponent does
but that overall you'd still rather be on the Hammer side.
It's like,
Yeah,
it's
I
like
have
if you're
to
rolling
agree.
a five, I'm like,
Cards like
"Oh,
Urza
fine,
Saga
I
can do
agree,
so
Scam."
much, and sometimes you double grief them, but they already got some of the
How
things
many
down
I
to
know?
1 because they're so cheap, and you can actually just beat a grief. And sometimes, Shadow Spear on a reasonable size construct is actually enough to flop the game long enough for you to, draw something like a hammer or, get a Cauldron going off a Stoneforge Mystic. There's just a lot to be answered out of the hammer deck for these scam decks.
That's definitely true, although what I will say Scam is going for is mostly like, look, fundamentally, Scam is filled with incredibly good magic cards, like Pitch Elementals, Ragavons, Bowmasters, Fables. It's hard to go wrong with all individually good cards. Hammer is not.
I was saying last
A
time.
lot of Hammer's cards are individually bad, and Colossus Hammer is not a good card,
Yeah, I remember
but they can combine into these kind of more powerful groupings. Now, if Scam is able to prevent Hammer synergies from ever coming together, to leave them with an awkward set of cards that don't really do anything, then
It's a little
they'll be all
sketchy,
set.
you
For
can't play the
instance,
game
if your
without
opponent
sketchy in
has,
that, like,
an Esper Sentinel, a Springleaf Drum, an Ornithopter, and a Hammer, that's nothing. And that's fundamentally how Scam wins this matchup. Just rough Hammer synergies to the point that what's left doesn't do anything.
Yeah, and that's what we're seeing Travis here have to get. Travis going down to 4 cards. I think this is the third or fourth time he's done this on coverage for us. But the Rakdos Scam deck is salivating at the idea. But Travis can get some of the 2 cards down in the top deck to get out of it. So we're gonna have to see exactly what happens. And that's one of the benefits of this hammer deck. Is it can play real games, but also it has some super fast explosive kills and can play some low amount resource games when it has the right cards for that.
Right, so given that,
was like, let me see your hand.
Travis is mulling so low against a deck filled with this
Let me
card,
see your
I
hand again.
think that
Secret code?
basically
Found it.
his plan to win is Saga at this point. The way he's going to win is by having a Saga over his hand. Michael isn't going to be able to take it, and that Saga is going to take over. It's hard for me to imagine paths that don't look like that, simply because Travis will have so few resources.
Agreed.
Is that on turn 2?
And this is open deck list, so Michael kept a hand that he think lines up well against hammer.
To be fair, I think on the Scam side, you're mostly looking for the things you're looking for in any matchup. A nice grief scam, a good curve with some interaction. Nothing crazy or out of the ordinary. Fundamentally, you are playing a mid-range deck.
Yeah. We saw Travis bottom hammer, Fortune New, and Esper Sentinel. Looks like he kept Esper Sentinel, a Ganjo, and a Stoneforge Mystic. So still has some reasonable plays here, especially on the Multicore.
Not a bad 4, but I don't like his chances.
Yeah, definitely unfavored, but could squeak his way out of this.
Literally, I will not be grief scanning.
Michael's gonna fetch,
Oh, thank you for doing that.
grab
I'm
a
gonna
blood
forget
crypt,
a lot.
shock it in.
I've gotten practice at this point.
I
so
can
don't
just
think
tell
that
you
happens.
as something of a
only when it's
world's
really
leading
important.
expert on Multicore, usually it's better if your opponent does that.
Like, we didn't really update.
Write that down, write that down.
But it's like, yeah, you're like, oh, what happened to Michael? Like, he took 22.
It does look like Michael has a grief in hand.
Play Rack.
Outside of Fury. Looks like we're going with Ragavan.
One interesting dynamic, kind of in the mono white versus Scam matchup, is that sometimes Esper Sentinel's ability is downside because Bowmasters can repeatedly turn those card draws into pings. So there's even cases where you've seen the Scam player play Bowmasters and not even kill the Esper Sentinel to get more triggers. I'm not saying that Mike will necessarily take any lines like that, but yeah, I'm not surprised to see him kind of leaving the Esper Sentinel in play and instead developing Ragavan.
Yep. And I like this from Travis. He searched up Cauldron. He's like, listen, I'm on 4 cards. Life's bad. You kill this Stoneforge Mystic, I'm probably not doing much anyway, so I'm going to go all in here. We are going to see an Evoked Fury here, cleaning up the board. We do have a Not Dead After All, I believe is the card's new name. Get the Wicked Roll attached to your Fury. Essentially, it gets +1/+1, just like all the other ones, but if Fury dies, Travis will now take 1 damage, so it is most of the time better than something like Feign Dash or Undying Malice.
Yes.
You see a Ragavan attack.
Although there is a chance that in this matchup, that is Hammer versus Scam, we will see the downside of Not Dead After All, which is that if post-board, Michael casts an E for 0 and cracks it to clean from constructs, he will kill his own Wicked Roll.
Yeah. True.
I'm not saying that necessarily will happen, but it's definitely a possibility. And EE is one of the better sideboard cards for Scam in the matchup.
Yeah, we see our judge there, Garrison, running as fast as he can to get treasures and Wicked Rolls through the token box. Autorock puts on a great production. I'm sure he has the Wicked Roll. If not, maybe Michael does here. It is actually brand new this weekend, so, it is kind of hard to find. Most pre-release kits do have one. So that's how Michael does it. He attaches it to the bottom. Interesting. All right. We'll have to see how players adapt to this going forward.
On average, I think Fury Scam against Hammer is honestly pretty beatable. The thing is, 8 is much less than 10, so if Hammer is able to get that equipment down first, then that will pretty much solve the problem. But here, on such low resources, and with that Scam happening before any Hammers or Cauldron Completes or what have you got to play, I think this game is...
Yeah, I'm casting. I'll take Hammer. Sure. Go ahead.
I have to agree. We see a Grief come down here, and Travis, take his draw, might as well, in-time grounds. Probably in a situation, the Swiss, we probably just, pick him up, move on for life. But we're going to be going on to game number 2 here. We're going to see how Travis is going to win a sideboard for this. It is open decklist, so those players will know what the other one has available to them. Plus, Travis, someone who has been dominating this past summer with Hammer. So, even though this matchup has changed ever so slightly over the last couple weeks, it is a matchup he has a lot of experience in.
Certainly. Although, I think that Scam improves more than Hammer does, kind of in the sideboarding of this matchup. Scam is going to get to kind of board in a lot of pretty effective hate cards, such as the Engineered Explosives, whereas Hammer's upgrades are going to be a little more marginal. I'm not saying that it would improve, but stealing specifically Game 1 has to feel great for Michael.
Agreed. It's kind of like Old Affinity, right? If you got the Game 1, you were really feeling good about your chances.
Yes. And one interesting thing here is, okay,
What else can you do?
so I know that Travis sometimes plays builds of Hammer that will side into Solitudes. And I know that when he does that, he boards them all in against Scam. I have seen a little bit of his content. Now, I don't know if he's playing a build with access to Solitude this weekend. The concession for doing so is you have to play a land that bolts you a bunch for copies. So I'm not sure, but we'll see. If he does that, it adds a whole new dynamic to the matchup in which, sometimes they scam you and then you kind of re-scam with the Solitude and exile their thing, and then no one has any resources and the game gets weird. But yeah.
Yeah, so he does have the lands. I saw when he was looking through his deck. So if he has the lands if he wants them. I also saw in an earlier feature match he hard casted them, Andrew, and got the Angel Beats going. So, the game floats out. Yeah, and it looks like the Solitudes are in his sideboard.
Okay, so if he has the Solitudes, then typically the way I believe Travis likes to sideboard in this matchup is to board in the Solitudes, cut some mix of Ornithopters, things that make mana, and Esper Sentinels. I think he leaves in 2 Esper Sentinels, boards in all 4 Solitudes, and then maybe a few other cards depending on his exact configuration.
There are a lot of other
Yeah, looks like he's doing basically that right now. Also took out the Paradise Mantle. Might be trying some new stuff this weekend. I know he's also like the card Hushbringer. Probably not for this matchup, but it might be one that he brings in.
Talk about Greg Abbott.
But to see exactly what he's up to
That's
this
taken out of
weekend.
context.
Yeah, I think his most recent. So maybe I'm out of date, but I believe the lessons I saw from him does not have Hushbringer. Yeah. Oh, when you see,
Okay.
you can see he also has 2 copies of the Sanctifier and Vec, which is hugely important in this matchup. Travis is a long-time hater and a doubter of Sanctifier and Vec, but has admitted that lately Scam is so popular that he can't justify not having a few. Also, you see a Nettle Assist in the sideboard. This is new from him. He has not had this in his historical list. And it may even be a reaction to the popularity of Scam. I'm interested to see if he does board it in here. I suspect yes.
Yeah, I think this card looks nice against Scam. You know, it's like an Urza Saga construct on its own. You can fetch up. We saw in that game, we searched up Cauldron and try and said, like, you know, bet, let's go. You can grab something like a Nettle Cyst, and then you can actually cast it and be a reasonable body. So, interesting there. The 2 black cards on the sideboard are Pithing Needle as well. We might see those come in for Engineered Explosives out of the Scam deck. And then looking over at the Scam deck, we have 2 Shieldred, a Kroxa, a Kolagon's Command, a Terminate, 2 a Pithing Needle, 3 Chalice of the Void, 2 EE, and 2 Blood Moon to accompany the one in the main. What do you like out of here, Andrew?
All right. So you definitely want the EEs in. You definitely want the Terminate in. I suspect the Cake Command comes in even though it costs 3. Those are all obvious. Bolts might come in. It sort of depends on if you can make space for them. Removal that doesn't hit things that are already equipped up is okay. Not exciting, so I'm not sure how many bolts you have. Pithing Needle almost definitely going to come in. And then Moons in this matchup, I think, are somewhat controversial. I think that some Scam players like them, some don't. Some things it depends on play draw. I'm not sure exactly what Michael will do here. Personally, I tend to fall in the camp of I definitely like Moon on the play, and on the draw, I might have like 1, but I don't like it very much. That's what I expect Michael to bring in. And then as far as cuts, I expect 2 drops to go, and then like that is say some mix of Voidwalker and Bowmaster. Probably the Voidwalkers first, maybe some Bowmasters as well. Michael might also shave Ragavan on the draw, but also might not, anticipating some Esper Sentinels coming out.
Yep. I have to agree, too, when it comes to the Blood Moon. That has been my sort of heuristic after playing this Scam deck a bunch recently. It looks like Travis is gonna... I don't know. It looks like he's maybe keeping a double Solitude in hand.
Let me think.
Yeah.
Got some lands.
Yeah, I saw Stoneforge, double Solitude, a couple of lands. I think that's his hand.
Yeah, meanwhile, Michael has a Dothy in hand, has a Thoughtseize and some Furies.
And the Dothy is interesting here, because I think that's one of the cards Scam players often shave in this matchup. So I'm not sure what that means. Like, I'm not sure if that means Michael's a different experience, if he dislikes a different card more, or if it's more just like, well, he doesn't like Lightning Bolt very much, and he doesn't like Blood Moon very much, so we end up leaving in like a few Dothys.
Yeah, it might also be a response with exactly with what you're saying. And Travis has these 4 Solitudes. Maybe this is something I can play that will make, you know, these Solitudes a little bit more awkward, right? If you're not Solituding down my Dothy, then my Dothy can get back your Solitude, and then I can get rid of your big creature. So it might be a situation where he has like 1 or 2 left in. As we're going to see a Thoughtseize get cast here in the Solitude, Stoneforge Mystic, Pure Steel Paladin, Second Solitude, and the Inkmoth Nexus are the cards for Travis.
And I imagine that there's got to be a lot of temptation to take the Stoneforge Mystic here, since it's the only card in the hand that can be cast in a non-evoked manner. But obviously Pure Steel is capable of doing some work, and maybe you just want to remove the Solitudes, but personally I think I'd have to go with the Stoneforge Mystic.
Yeah, there's some temptation to, you know, maybe take Stoneforge, then you have Not Dead After All and these Furies in your hand, so you can like maybe answer it. But I agree. I think just getting rid of that and moving on with your day is probably the best way to get out of this.
The thing is that even if you clean up the Stoneforge Mystic, your opponent just being able to put a hammer in their hand with Sigarda's Aid already on the table is extremely dangerous, right? You really
I agree. I mean, it's irresponsible, I would say, but the temptation's there. You know, maybe you can.
But Michael does end up going with that, which yeah I approve of.
Same.
Go ahead.
Looks like Michael, you know, has kept a 1 lander with the Scam Fury, but knows Travis has these Solitudes, which is making the game very awkward. As here comes Ginger Bruticus.
Got him.
Bam. 1.
So now the question for Michael is, just how much value does he want out of this Fury Scam? Because he knows that as soon as Travis finds a hammer, his Fury Scam immediately goes blank. So there's definitely some logic just firing it off as quickly as possible. On the other hand, if Travis doesn't find a hammer and just happens to play this Pure Steel, well, that's another full card you get for free.
Yeah. It's a really fine land to walk. It looks like we're leading on the Dothy Voidwalker. Maybe doing what I talked about there with making Solitude a bit more awkward. Dothy has Shadow, can't block.
You can if you want.
I do like this given that he drew the land, because now if your opponent does Solitude to clean up your Fury Scam, you will then get the Solitude, whereas if you go for the Fury Scam first, you won't. So I think once Michael draws a second land, going for the Dothy Voidwalker makes a lot of sense.
Agree. You have to see. Looks like he's taking a think. Beautiful basic, by the way, there for Michael.
Yeah, I don't know. I'd kind of prefer sort of a random assortment out of the land bin, but that's just me.
I think random arts are great. That's my hot take. We should have like my forest and mono green all different, like a real forest. Trees don't match in the forest. You know what I mean? Think about it.
Michael's going to go for the Fury here. Travis is going to save it with Surge of Salvation, but Michael's probably not too upset about that.
Yeah, he does have the other Fury in hand still. So if he has another red card, he can go for it again in a future turn.
Wow, okay, so he didn't scam the Fury. He just evoked it.
Well, yeah, he got surged, and it looks like he didn't want to scam into the Solitude still, I guess. I guess his thought might be, I have this other Fury. I can kill that Ginger Brute later. I might as well scam that one. And then maybe, things get better for him somehow. Maybe Travis, blows his Solitude on this Dothy.
Well, I think part of the logic might be that if Travis draws a Plains here, he's not unlikely to play Pure Steel Paladin. If he does play Pure Steel Paladin, well, that's another free card you pick with the Fury. So sort of like, doing this like partial waiting thing isn't that bad. But Travis, I think very shrewdly, just doesn't play the Pure Steel Paladin. It's just like, no. I smell something. Something's up. You have too many cards in hand. You're not taking enough game actions. I'm gonna not play my Pure Steel.
Yeah, also, he has unlocked, if you go to Solitude my Fury, I can Surge by sacking the Dothy, which is weirdly this kind of, non-intuitive normal play pattern that happens, but, with Dothy Voidwalker, things get weird quickly.
Yeah, I have kind of a saying about Dothy Voidwalker, which is that no one in the world has actually read Dothy Voidwalker. No one knows what the card does. It's just this card that everyone has their scan next to. It's like, oh yeah, it's like a 3/2 that Leyline's the Void, but it's like, no, like, this card has more tricks than you've ever seen, and there's a lot of options.
Yeah, Dothy Voidwalker is truly a Modern Horizons card. As we see this Fury get lined up, looks like we're going to pitch the Terminate.
Targets.
Now, if he does this, the Dothy might not be attacking him.
Yeah, so, big moment for Michael here, and he does, it looks like, pull back the Dothy, which I think is definitely the right play. I mean, it's unfortunate for him that in reality Travis has 2 Solitudes, but I think this is got to be right. The Fury is just such a fast clock, and any world where Travis doesn't have 2 Solitudes, this is going to go really well for you.
Agreed.
Okay. So if you exile this still goes.
Yeah, with the 2
Because
Solitudes.
it falls off, I believe.
Yeah, that's correct. Yes, that's absolutely correct.
Yeah.
My biggest concern for Michael is just that I think he's waited a little bit too long. He's been a little too patient here. And yeah, like these Solitudes having to be hard cast versus just pitched is a big difference. And maybe he would have been better served by just trying to literally turn 1 Fury Scam and then just really put Travis on a fast clock. I'm not sure.
Yeah, it's hard to know. So this one, Ginger Brute's gonna attack. Travis is gonna play the land and pass. Once again, we have 2 Solitudes in hand and a Pure Steel Paladin. So looks like Michael keenly aware of the Surge of Salvation line. You don't make it to the top 12 of one of these huge events without catching these little things. I think Travis taking a think about if he wants to maybe lose 6 life. Or sorry, 8 life.
8 life, yeah, that's a wicked Fury. That's not a regular Fury. You gotta be careful here.
I love that musical, and I love it on my Furies as well.
Okay, so Travis takes the hit, goes for the end step Solitude.
Even if he has a Feign Death effect, like it looks like Michael does have, he could have Feign Death the Dothy if you target the Fury. So looks like Not Dead After All is going to be cast on the Dothy, and then we're going to sacrifice the Dothy in response to the Solitude's trigger before it resolves.
English text on Dothy Voidwalker.
I'll cast it until end of turn. It's not next turn. Like I can't.
Okay, yeah. So Travis is asking at the table mic there, how does it work exactly? It's until end of turn, etc. There might not be an English Dothy, and it is until the end of turn. So Michael, will have Surge of Salvation for the remainder of the turn. Travis cannot, evoke this Solitude. Although
Travis can just main phase the Solitude on the Fury when his turn starts. Now, this Dothy is a 4/3 unblockable, basically. But, you know, he's a Solitude that gains 3 life. He might be able to just race.
No, no.
What do you mean?
Yeah, I think that,
Like, I'm trying
look,
to
for
figure
all
out
that
where
this
we are.
play
So this has
makes
not
sense for Michael's
Okay,
part,
yeah, that's fine.
Okay.
Travis
Yeah,
is not too upset.
So
about it.
Dothy's on tap.
Yeah.
Oh, it looks like there's some
Cool, no, you're good,
clarification on the
no,
stack here.
like,
Okay,
double
so what's
check.
happened is we're casting Not Dead after all, targeting the Dothy, and Travis is choosing if he wants to respond or not. He is not, which is going to give the Wicked roll,
I'll get. Oh, I don't have 2 wicked roll tokens.
which no one
Can
warns
you
them, so
have
it's okay.
More than one?
Yeah.
Can we get the,
Yeah, I
I
mean,
don't know if you can have more than one roll.
look,
token
like,
in play.
usually in this matchup, the scam deck is
Okay, so
controlled.
I heard like,
But if you're playing Hammer, you hit 5 lands and start hard casting your Solitudes,
No, no, man.
and that dynamic is going to be on its head.
Oh, it's
And
weird,
I think Travis is going to take over this game pretty handily. Voidwalker or no Voidwalker, it just doesn't seem like it's going to be able to race 3 life a turn, which is rapidly going to turn into 6 life a turn. And that's assuming Travis never draws anything that does anything. Remember, a hammer here still ends things more or less immediately.
Yeah. Yeah, it looks like we picked up Sanctifier and Vec as our card as well. Looks like Travis is considering...
Hotness.
Frog is back.
Huh. Looks like we had another Wicked token instead of a deck divider with a W on it.
4, 9.
I went and picked up my Wicked tokens for my LGS, that way I'm ready to go for my next Wicked event. You make sure to be prepared.
Oh, man.
Attack here? It looks like just 3. Looks like we're going to leave the Ginger Brute back. Makes me wonder if maybe we're going to go after the Dothy instead of the Fury if we're leaving back Ginger Brute, but I have to see exactly how Travis wants to play this. Looks like he is just going to cast Sanctifier and back.
I can't counterspell.
I know, right?
So yeah.
Interesting. I mean,
Black and red, right?
this is definitely reasonable, since the only way that Michael can remove the Sanctifier Back is Engineered Explosives, which does cost more mana to like play and crack than Michael has. So the Fury attack is going to be stopped. The damage from the Dothy doesn't really matter. The main complaint about this play is that it's mana inefficient, but it's certainly like resource efficient. So
Yeah.
Travis is choosing to value that. It's interesting though, because I think it might give Michael some outs here. Like, maybe Michael can, for example, hit with a Dothy, not attack with his Fury, which holds back his opponent's Solitude, and then like,
No
or maybe even like terminate the Solitude, and then like finish with this Bolt in his hand, something like that.
Shadow easy game.
Yeah, we might be able to just barely squeak across the finish line here. Because Travis is down to 5. Travis, actually, I wonder if Travis is going to play around this and sack the Ginger Brute in a turn to gain 3 life.
Yeah, I was thinking about the same thing. I think sacking Gingerbread here, it's very bizarre, but might make a lot of sense.
Yeah, it's so hard because we have caster vision, so we know the bolt's in hand. Travis knows it's in the deck, but it's so hard. Now, Travis picks up a hammer here. He is going to win. Didn't pick up a hammer, drew an Urza Saga. And the second Dothy Voidwalker, yeah, this is representing 7 unblockable damage. So Travis, you know, knows he has the Ginger Brute. So there was some out of just on board, hey, maybe I'm supposed to crack this here, but we'll have to see.
Here, yeah, I think Travis is kind of in a tough spot. So he can, so he can Solitude the Dothy Voidwalker with the Wicked roll on it. And then, no, but he still can't gain life. I'm not sure how he gets out of this.
Yeah, also if he Solitudes with the Wicked, he does lose a life still.
So yeah.
So, you know, it's a weird spot for Travis. I do think, you know, maybe this Sanctifier and Vec line makes a lot of sense normally, but with the way Michael's hand lined up, it just didn't play out.
Gain 4, I'll take 1.
So that is going to gain Michael 4 life up to 11, make Travis lose 1 down to 4,
Okay, cool, cool.
right? Because the Saga still goes to the graveyard, and we can't crack the Ginger Brute with 7 unblockable on board. So I'm unsure how Travis is going to live. I guess the Solitude gains you 3 life, which is what this is all coming down to.
You can attack to go up to 7, but that isn't enough, right? Because there's 7 on board, plus a bolt is 10. I think Travis is just dead.
Yeah, I think Travis is dead too, and I think also it's awkward because we know there's the bolt, but I think even if Travis think he had to pop the Ginger Brute last turn when Michael played the second Dothy. Because it was all on board before, you know?
Yeah.
Kind of it's a rough and very unusual spot here for Travis. He can kind of tell he's dead. You know, he's like looking, he's like, wait, this doesn't line up well for me at all.
That's like 5.
I think it's a very rare misstep from the disgruntled elf, the Hammer Master here.
Yeah. You take 3, 4, 5.
Yeah, like I think he had the information available to know these to stack this Ginger Brute. Maybe tricked himself to thinking that he like needed the Ginger Brute to have lethal with the hammer, but actually Sanctifier Infect means he has that anyway.
Well,
yeah.
I'm supposed to
So,
play that.
although even if he
I-
had cracked the cookie, the bolt I think means maybe nothing matters. Wow.
Yeah, I think Travis was just dead. But I think from Travis's standpoint, he was supposed to, you know, it's like a looking back and learning moment. He's like, oh, I'm supposed to crack the Ginger Brute there. Ends up he loses either way. But, you know, incredibly well played by there by Michael and Travis again in this position. But a situation where, you know, just sort of the way the cards played out, he just kind of got in a situation maybe he could have maybe not gotten got. But regardless, that's to move Michael on into our top 4 Rakdos scam, putting up a dominant performance with that new minor upgrade. And that minor upgrade, you know, really kind of mattering, right? Like, assuming we didn't have the bolt in hand, right, and we had everything had played out the same, that 1 damage would have made or break a thing where Feign Death normally wouldn't, right? So getting that little ping in really mattered.
Yeah, definitely. And I don't know, personally, I think that if I were playing a Modern Tournament tomorrow, I would still register Scam. I think Scam is the best deck, and I'm not really sold that any of this nonsense that actually beats it.
Handshake emoji. I feel the same way. You're gonna have to prove it to me for a couple weeks that your deck can beat Scam. So
yeah, so definitely not sad to see kind of the best deck move on there. But yeah.
All right.
Anyways,
Unfortunate for the Hammer Master.
unfortunate. We love Travis. He's always great to see. We see him at a lot of these events. I'm sure he'll be at more events soon. He loves to game. Speaking of loving the game, the Aman Abadi here on your right on a Zorius Hammer versus Cody, once again on 4-color Omnath. We are jumping into game number 2 here. It looks like Aman is a game. Aman's someone you see a lot on the Apex circuit. He and his brother have been dominating, and Aman actually won the last Apex 5K in Ohio, playing this exact deck, I believe.
That might be true, but historically speaking, 4-color is maybe Hammer's worst matchup overall. So
for sure. He's in a rough one.
even though I'm in game 1, even though I'm sure he's a strong player, yeah, this is going to be tough. Now, what's good for Hammer these days, and one of the reasons people move back to it is some of the 4-color lists are kind of moving in a less respectful direction. That is that they're shaving some of the Hammer hate, like they've saved in the Force of Vigors to fit other things in. And some people have even gone down on Solitudes in favor of Fury, kind of as a reaction to Scam. All of which is good for him. Not good enough to make the matchup favorable, but better than it was before. And so kind of the question here is just how traditional is Cody's list? Because the more like old school Cody's list is, the more he's playing kind of the classic 4-color, the worse it's going to be for the Hammer deck.
Yeah, and we see a body here play the Cigar's Aid and just attack with the Giver onto the Ren 6, making sure it doesn't go up too much in loyalty. Cody with triple Omnath again, the second time in this top 12 with having triple Omnath in hand. Just a big fan.
Yep. Take a breath. Yep.
Looks like we're just going to play a Triumph, take up, pass the turn. Looks like we have Engineered Explosives in hand and an island.
Okay. Lavinia? Sure. Go ahead. Go read her.
Okay, I mean, Lavinia can be a pretty effective hate card in this matchup for a variety of reasons. It annoys, it makes it hard to evoke elementals, it makes it hard to play Force of Vigor. It does a fair number of nice things for you.
Yep. So we are going to see a Solitude picked up for Cody there. Normally a great one, but like you mentioned, Lavinia just hit the battlefield, and it looks like we're going to tap out for Omnath here. Draw a card.
Wow, this is a really aggressive line. I mean, okay, so here's what's going on here, right? Cody could have played an Injury Explosives for 1 and cleaned up 2 permanents, which he can't be sad about. But there's no Hammer here. He knows that this one doesn't have a Hammer. So unless the Hammer's top decked, Cody knows the shields are down, and he takes this opportunity to just resolve an Omnath and be safe. Also, even if there is a hammer, he's just not that afraid of it because it wouldn't present lethal. It would only present 12 damage or whatever. So I think this is a pretty smart play by Cody. He's seizing the moment, kind of.
I know. It's
Yep, I like it a lot. Cody here got to fetch land. Looks like he's going to move to combat. Wabam. No blocks, says Avani. Take it forward, down to 14.
We'll crack this.
Looks like Cody is going to fetch up here. This is going to allow him to put that land back in hand with Ren and 6. He's going to put it above 20, which is notable for, like, you know, a double hammer type situation. We don't think there was a hammer before. If there was somehow was and we were having the most patience in the world, the second one's definitely not going to matter now.
Yeah, certainly agreed. I think mostly what's interesting here is, okay, Cody's clearly in the driver's seat. He knows things are going well. The question is, how is he going to choose to play this out? So he's going for the hard cast Solitude.
Yeah.
I'll gain 1 life.
And what's interesting about this line is he's sort of making his own engineered explosives worse,
Yeah, 15.
which is a little awkward. Like, I imagine there was some desire there to like go for the E for 1, blow up the 2 1-drops, and then in response to the protection, Solitude the Lavinia. But depending on his hand, maybe he just doesn't even care about Lavinia very much.
Yeah, it might be that Cody's waiting to, like, let the aid go, maybe jump block or something, and then try to use the EE post, you know, the aid having equipped something. But we'll have to see how he's going to play this out here, as Springleaf Drum is the play. As his Blood Train was for turn.
Also possible that Cody's really concerned about the construct tokens, just wants the E reserved to kind of clean them up.
Yep, here's a Pure Steel Paladin. I thought there was a chance last turn Cody might have also just legend rolled his Omnath and got a new card, but...
Wait a minute. Is there a weird thing here where Cody can't play EE for 0 into Lavinia?
Oh yeah, you can't play EE for 0 into Lavinia. Yeah, that's
so,
funny.
Cody can't clean up the constructs here. And if he tries, he's going to get destroyed. If he plays EE for 1, then he should be in a reasonable position because he can clean up the hammer itself. Although his opponent will have a pretty sizable board. Yeah, this Saga is presenting Cody some problems.
Yeah, it definitely is. I mean, Cody can do something like EE for one, and then, you know, move on to this. It looks like Cody is attacking. 7 damage coming towards Amon, but this looks to be an activation of Urza's Saga. Maybe we're going to use the construct to block down Solitude or something. Just get that lifelinker off the board. You might even see a double block on Omnath, you know, if you really hate Omnath. But it looks like, yeah, we're going to hit Solitude.
So you're going 10.
Cody might even be trying to entice the double block on Omnath, knowing that he has the second one in hand. Certainly, if he could get his opponent to do that, that would be great. And he doesn't have that compelling options. Is there any chance we like miss seeing the card in his hand? It's definitely explosives, right?
It's definitely explosives, yeah. Or an alter of a card to look like explosives, which is illegal. So, Cody might have bigger fish to worry about.
Yeah.
I see all the lines, Andrew. Not everyone does. You know, I'm cursed with knowledge. As it does look like Cody is fetching here. Gonna get his 4 mana. I wonder if he's just gonna legend roll an Omnath, you know, just use the floating mana and like reset. It's not that unreasonable.
Yeah, grant pseudo vigilance. It's definitely not. I sort of think he needs to commit the E for 1 though. He really does not want to take a hit for 10 or whatever.
I agree. Like he seems to. I mean, I think you can do both, and you just like use your floating mana and just get your reset because you have so much mana here. Oh, he's eating for 2 and blowing up Lavinia. His Ren that was about to ultimate and the Pure Steel Paladin, preventing any redraw from happening. And then he's going to play a Halfling.
Okay, so this is interesting and maybe good. What's cool about this line from Cody is, okay, so now his opponent does get to have a hammer equipped to presumably a construct token. But that construct token will be summoning 6, so it's not that scary. And as long as he can find any way to clean up a construct token, be that Teferi, Prismatic Ending, Boseiju, Solitude, you name it, he's going to be happy. And even if he doesn't, taking a hit for 13 isn't the end of the world. He's honestly cleaned up most of the problematic permanents his opponent controls. It's just this construct now.
Yeah. Could he? Yeah, he maybe also was worried about Pithing Needle coming in and maybe EE, so you have to pop it early, and then there'd be a hammer on the board if he did it for 1. So totally defensible line.
Well, yeah, the threat of E, especially post-board, is very strong here. Since whoa, wait, is that Shadow Spear?
It is Shadow Spear, yeah. Do you think someone drew a hammer? Do you think they forgot a card in hand?
I think what happened maybe is that, okay, so because Cody made that play, is when it's like, all right, well, that must mean he has the rules for the construct lined up. That makes the E for 2 make a lot of sense. Right? So the logic might be, because that play was made, now I want to get Shadow Spear and protect myself against that.
Makes sense. We'll have to see exactly what he's doing. His hand is Leyline Binding, Omnath, Forest, and some white card I couldn't quite see.
Yeah,
Looks like
I
it's
don't-
double Sigarda's Aid in hand for Amon.
I don't think that Cody's going to have too many problems closing out this game with the Leyline Binding at the ready. It just seems like he's doing too much stuff. His life total is too low. Cody's got plenty of time. I'm not sure how Hammer gets out of this.
Yeah, I love also here Cody has been saving his fetch land last turn to do the 4 damage now. To just, you know, close the door on the game. You've seen Cody double check, like, hey, there's no way I'm going to got here, right? Like, you're not going to flash a Solitude in like we just saw from Travis. No, okay. Put you to 1. And now, you know. Looks like Cody is going to
Another Omnath. Dear God.
play another Omnath first. Take a redraw.
Is there any chance he doesn't have the fetchables to deal the 4 damage?
I think it's unlikely, given the 2 fetches he has, that he should have basics, but it might also just be that he's like, listen, the only way I'm going to lose this, I think, is if he had Solitude in hand, so there's no point in me, like, risking it. I'm not exactly sure. I think it's, you know, all roads lead to Rome here.
Yeah, I agree. It seems pretty decisive.
Yeah, it looks like we're doing a Leyline Binding here on the construct at the beginning of combat. Yeah, and Amon's had enough of it. We're going to scoop it up, and we're going to go to game number 3 here in our top 8 match. That was a wild one.
Yeah, it definitely was. A lot of complicated dynamics with Cody's Antidote Explosives here. I think that card against Hammer is very tricky in general. That is, it's good, okay? You should definitely board in if you have it at almost anything. But it's hard to leverage. It's not trivial to figure out what you should set it to, when you should play it, when you should hold on to it, how you deal with Pithing Needle. There's kind of a lot to it.
Speaking of a lot to it, there's not a lot to subscribing to the Twitch channel with Prime. I don't know why you're looking at me, but what a great view with me and Andrew on screen. You can use your Twitch Prime right now in order to subscribe to the chat and not get any ads, that we don't miss anything, and you help support Paper Magic. So it's free. Just use it on someone. We don't really care who, you know, whatever's going on there. It looks like we are back to the feature match here. This is a match we've recorded, so I think we skipped ahead. That way we didn't have to watch any of the sideboarding. It looks like we have a turn 1 Sigarda's Aid off a Hollow Fountain into an Ornithopter from Amon going fast, and then boom, Cody's got a Prismatic Ending to answer the Sigarda Aid immediately. It looks like Cody also on a mulligan to 5, or 4, sorry, because he was on the draw.
Sure.
Stoneforge Mystic, grabbing Cauldron complete. It'd be a huge test here for Cody. Leyline Binding, I don't think that's a... Is that a... Oh, it's 3 off. My bad. Excuse me. Oh, it's a Sacred Flame.
I mean, yeah. Wait. I'm sorry. He's 3 land types, so shouldn't it cost 3?
Oh, yeah. I was right. I gaslit myself. Yeah, that should be 3. Yeah. Because that is not a dual land. That's my mistake as well. Wow. I should have trusted my gut, boy. Thank you for backing me up there.
I think something went wrong on the binding there, but not much we can do about it from here. Again, we're out of delay, so it's out of our hands. But yeah, and what I was going to say about this play is, it's pretty interesting since the Cauldron Complete isn't the end of the world for 4-color. You can pretty easily clean up the Germ token in various ways. It's not necessarily the most threatening thing, and I think sometimes it can be better to let your opponent spend their time and mana making that Germ token only to binding the Germ. Of course, that does risk Appear Still later letting you re-equip the Cauldron Complete. So it's interesting to see how Cody decided to play that out.
Yep.
That said, with 2 cards in his hand right now, it's not a great situation for Cody.
Yeah, things are looking bad, and this Cauldron Complete is gonna probably come down off the Stoneforge Mystic. If you're a mon, you're like, listen, my opponent killed the Stoneforge Mystic before I put the Cauldron last turn. They'll probably do it again. Probably is actually in Cody's best interest, like you mentioned, to not do it so early before, despite the part where play wasn't quite due.
Yes.
Disregarding that part of the whole exchange. We're gonna have to give a stern talking to our judge spot of that Garrison Font. Local friend of mine. I'll make sure to start him accordingly later. Judges have it too easy for too long. You know what I mean, Andrew? We gotta.
Yeah, I think we can all agree on that.
Yeah. They just had too much good things happen to them. We gotta be harsher to judges. That's what I'm always saying.
You wish? You're casting the card Wish?
Okay,
Somebody write that down.
Cody's not doing much. Seems like he's not found much in the way of gas.
I think he drew an Omnath for turn, but I could be mistaken.
Oh, all right.
It's some
Omnath can hold off a Cauldron Complete somewhat indefinitely.
Yeah.
Pithing Needle.
Your fetch chance, you're releasing Pithing Needle here. Could be huge. EE is normally the name, but you might see something like a fetch land named here in order to prevent some Omnathing.
Well, I also think Boseiju is often a common name, especially because 4-color decks side in to like 3 to 4 copies of the card sometimes.
Oh, interesting. Amon had 2 needles and decided not to play the second one. Holding up Surge of Salvation. Didn't see that in hand at first. Makes a lot more sense now.
Yeah, do we have any idea what was named?
No. Yeah.
But it's hard for me to be sure that that's the situation that we're in.
One man,
With Surge of Salvation in hand, there's some temptation, I think, to name a thing that answers like a different card, because you can just handle the EE with. Oh no, I guess E. Oh, so wait, actually, that's not true. Surge doesn't handle explosives. So maybe it would make sense as a name.
Yeah, I agree. That makes kind of a lot of sense. As we do see a second Pithnio come down.
All right, well, explosives wasn't named before. I gotta think it's named now.
Yeah, one of them has to be explosives. If not, it's the craziest bluff of all time from Amon here, just running it out. As we do see an attack for 5, Cody down to 5, kind of down to 4 in the fetch, but gain 4 more, up to 8. And this is what, Andrew was talking about a second ago. With these fetch lands, we can ping pong our life total around and sort of, just gain 2 every life cycle, every turn cycle.
Tap Sacred Foundry. You should shock it.
Maybe.
Yeah, I mean, despite how few resources Cody has access to, I think he has outs here. Like, it doesn't seem like Amon is any kind of backup plan if this Germ Token.
Hard cast, followed by a Pure Steel Paladin, gonna equip the Cauldron, and gonna be attacked for 15, and that's game. Amon Body moving on to our top 4. Congratulations, Cody did a great job sort of getting in here to top 12 and playing, but does get defeated by this Hammer player on a mulligan to 5 there. And yeah, well played there by the Hammer. Didn't have a whole lot going on in those 2 games, but just kind of, picked away and won it all.
And I think in the end, those needles were on Explosives and Teferi, which proved to be extremely shrewd names, kind of stopping all options from his opponent interacting.
Have to agree.
As we are going to see, we have a little top 8 bracket here. So you're going to see that Ethan fell to Franklin, Travis fell to Michael like we saw, Amon beat Cody like we just saw as well, and then off camera we had Gabriel versus John, where Gabriel won. So now we have 4-color Omnath once again for Amon. He cannot escape it over there for Hammer, but if he wins, he has got a matchup he kind of likes in the finals, Andrew, of Rakdos Scam versus Rakdos Scam. So that's going to be exciting. Make sure to drop your Twitch Prime in the chat. That way you don't miss any of the commercials or anything when we get going. But we're going to take a quick break, set up for our semifinals, and get into it. So we'll be right back with some more Paper Magic.